Building a class in an MMO is one of the best parts of the game, and in Ravenquest there are 56 possibilities, but it can be time-consuming, number-crunching, and just challenging to make a truly good build. Well, hey everyone, Caveman here, and today we're going to be going through 8 builds for the early to mid-game, just around level 20, that should get you a really good start. And also, to 10 lucky viewers, we're going to be giving away 2 RavenPacks, so make sure you watch till the end. Let's go ahead and jump into the first build, the Melee Brawler class. So this guy is really just meant to be in the action. He's a frontline unit, he's just ready to fight, has a little bit of AoE, and he's just ready to go, you know? Let's go ahead and jump into game so you guys can see the skill points and what they actually do. So you got Brutal Strike, which does some damage, and then every third one it heals you. Guillotine does extra damage based on your Aether consumed, and then you also have Feasting Strike, which heals you based on the damage you've done. So this guy's really supposed to be just that frontline unit who can attack, heal, and that's really where he goes, and I really like the idea of the fighter. In the archery, you're going to be really going for this concussive shot, which helps slow down, so you can chase them down, continue slapping them with your axe, and then you also have fleet-footed. If you do take 10% of your damage, you can quickly run towards it, and that also scales well with Revenge, which is another one you'll have right here, that when you take 10% damage, you get you're able to use this ability at full Aether without consuming it for 5 seconds. So if you know you get fleet-footed, it gets activated, you can quickly activate Revenge. Boom, you're doing a significant amount of damage there to that unit and hopefully some units around it. For the passives, you have a 20% heal, which should help you keep sustaining a constant fight. People will be like, why is this guy not taking any damage? And you're just chunking their health alive. So that's one of the things that's really cool. And then for the passive for the protection, you'll just be able to resist all those slow stuns and snares. You're able to just keep charging the front line. If you do need to snipe some people, you do have these 2 ranged abilities to help you get through. You will be using the Battle Axe. This is because that has a nice AoE effect that I think can be really good for just being able to take out enemies as you get on them. It does a good amount of damage, 150% towards your main attack damage. So the next class we're going to go over is a healer tank or mage tank. Whoops. This is, a protection, holy, and spiritual. It really does have just pure healing and shields. Like that's really the goal of it. You will be using the one-handed staff and shield, and if we go into game, we'll be able to kind of go over these real quick. So you got spiritual, holy, protection, I just mentioned that. In the spiritual, you're gonna have Cyclone, so this will be probably your main damaging ability, especially if you're pushing intelligence high, because it is magic damage. And so this has AoE as well, so it's kind of just a nice little help if you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies. This is going to be the one you're casting if you have plenty of health and they're not really doing anything. You have Regenerate, which is healing over time, and Shield. So these are just a great utility comp right here that should get you through. And then you have Wind Wall, which you can either put this in front of your enemy line to stop the ranged units from being able to attack anyone, or you can put it as a barrier protecting your back line, and then you're able to provoke everything around using Provoke, which is obviously a huge skill that you're going to be using. And so going into protection a little bit more, you have Bash. If you are going on weapon damage, this will be your main damaging ability. If you're still healthy, you can just bash them, and you're going to be able to do a slow too, which is nice. Then you'll have the Spirit Resolve. Getting that shield on you should keep you nice and healthy. If you really just want to just go to heals, you do have Flash Shields. You have a good heal over time here with Mend, and then a big single instant one that can give you a nice burst if you need it. For passives, you're going to be going with either Meditate. This does slightly increase your threat decay, so you might not want that one, and so that's where the lingering impact, the duration of healing over time, increases by 20%, so that could work for both your Regenerate and your Mend, and potentially some of the other ones later down the line. On the holy side, you're going to be going with Sacred Spirit. This is healing you even more once you're under 30% health, or anyone else who's under 30% health. And then on the protection side, you're just going to reduce that 10% damage, or you'll go for the Guardian, which is pretty cool. Every time you're below 80% health, you then have a 5% chance to activate Guardian. And then this heals you 10% of your health over 10 seconds, and that can be activated every 20 seconds. So you basically kind of want to stay below 80% health. So that's why you're just bashing and using your Cyclone, and then just healing just so you're under 80% is kind of the full cycle of how you utilize this to the best of its ability. Moving on to the next class, which is the weapon power damage over time. We're going to be using a one-handed axe. You can have 2 of them equipped on this image. I just have 1 right now, but you can get 2 of those. And this one really is just trying to apply as many stacks damage over time as possible. If we go back into game, we can kind of cover some of these. So you have Warfare, Shadow, and Archery as your 3 main archetypes. And Warfare, really, we're just trying to go for the passive. None of these have anything that's damage over time in these 3 categories. You could go for this ability also instead of this one, or really you could choose what you want out of these, but really we're just trying to get that savagery. That's going to be your damage over time passive. Anytime you get a critical strike, it will apply those deep wounds. That scales nicely with Shadow Strike over here, where you're able to get bleed, and with the Shadow class, you're able to quickly build up a little bit of crit chance, and I'll talk about how. But this one also gives you a crit chance every 3rd quick slash, so that's going to proc this passive, which is going to make them bleed, and so you're good to go there. And then you can choose any of these that you're wanting. For the passive, you're trying to go for Cheap Shot. This way, your critical chance is being increased for every damage dealt. And since you're doing all these damage over time, you can stack this pretty fast. And I imagine you're going to be getting 10 to 40% even over those 6 seconds if you can make sure that they're always proccing. And so you should have some good amount of crit chance that all of your abilities are starting to crit, and then you're just doing a good amount of damage with that. Archery is going to be your main damaging ability. You're going to go with Wind Arrow. You're going to have that Viper Arrow, which is that nice damage over time that's going to get going. You're just going with Disengage. Just keep your distance. Let the damage over time kind of do the damage. You'll have a Venom Grenade, which is going to do another damage over time for 8 seconds, and then you're going to have your main Dragon's Arrow. And I would say you activate this when this is basically full out, like you've done a lot of damage over time, and your crit chances is highest. You could drop this and hope that this smacks hard. Then also we'll do a burning damage over time, and that generally should give you a pretty good strong start. And then you'll have 2 different passives for this, so you'll have so many points already lined up that you'll get extra damage based on the distance between you and your target, and then you also have fleet-footed if you need to just flee and really get away from them, and just let those damage over time stack. And so that's kind of this damage over time weapon power one. So weapon damage is going to be good for all 3 of these classes, so this scales really nicely together. Moving on to the next build, which is going to be a ranged on crit build. So this is going to be staying with the Shade Striker, but here's the new skills you're going to be going for. And then if we go into game, let's go ahead and go back to that. So for the on hit one, really we're trying to just land as many attacks as possible, and then hopefully they can crit on those auto attacks. So you're going to be going with the Wind Arrow, the Quick Fire, for that's 3 more basic hits right there, and then we'll go for a Piercing Shot to do a little bit more damage. So that's going to be there, but we're also going to be going for Blitz as the passive, try to increase that basic attack speed as fast as we can. On the Shadow side, we're going to be going with Quick Slash, the Shadow Strike, and then the Crippling Dagger. You probably won't use this much. Your Archery is going to be your main thing. You're going to be using the bow for this class. You really want to be trying to crank that as much as possible, and then you're going to be getting some critical chance increase for every time you deal damage. So hopefully you're attacking so quickly that you're building this up fast, and then you can actually deal that additional damage. On the Warfare side, you're going to go with Brutal Strike, Shield Break, which is a ranged unit because you have the bow attached, and then you'll have a Feasting Strike, same thing, and that'll help heal you a little bit there. But then most of the time you're going to be staying away from everyone, but you will be applying a little bit of Savagery and trying to get that damage over time, similar to the last build, from all those critical strikes, and then just let your on hit just stab, shoot, trying to land as many attacks as you can with your Archery class. So that is the ranged on hit. Let's go to the next build we're going to be going into is the melee crit build. So you will be doing the double daggers for that increased crit chance. You're going to be also swapping out Archery for that Wizardry, because the Wizardry actually has some cool passives, and we'll go over that now. So we have a Warfare, basically just keeping Warfare for its passive. You'll go for Brutal Strike, Guillotine, and then Bull Rush, just so you can dash towards the person. You are going to be melee with those double daggers, so you want to be up in their face, slicing and taking care of them. You'll be going with Savagery because you should be having a lot of critical strikes from your basic attacks, and that should be dealing quite a bit of deep wounds. Your main class will be your Shadow. You'll be going Quick Slash, Shadow Strike, the Coup de Grace, and then we will be needing a lot of Aether, so you probably want Sinister Plot, especially if you want those crits to really deal some significant damage. And then Death Blossom will be your main damaging ability. With if you do have this at full Aether, this will be a 250 damage, and this is just my with no skill points really in any of the Might category, which would then significantly increase that along with a good weapon. You also have Coup de Grace, which does a good amount. And then on Wizardry side, you're going to be trying to get a lot of these. So this is, you're going to need a lot of skill points to make this build achievable. So this will probably be, in your 30s potentially. But you will want to Pyroblast and Frost Lance. These can both do a significant amount of damage once you get a good amount of Aether there too. And then on the skill points side of this, there's really two that build up to crit well. This one is whenever you deal damage with a skill, and it's not a critical hit, it'll get you hot-headed. This will scale, and we'll talk about this more because then there's the Mage crit build too. As this is building up, you're going to get more and more critical chance, and then when you do get a critical hit, it's going to then make your critical hit chance increase by 2% for each stack for 6 seconds. So this can mean potentially that you're going to have for the next 6 seconds, you could have up to 100% crit rate. And so that's what makes that crazy. And then if you somehow time this perfectly with Flow of Magic, this increases your critical damage by 20% for 6 seconds. And then if both of these are activated, then you throw down, Death Blossom. We're talking a huge amount of damage. You have to be up in their face, and then hopefully you can hit Coup de Grace, Pyroblast, and Frost Lance, and you can do a lot with those crits. So this is the ultimate melee crit build I've seen for like that mid-game level area. So should be a fun one. I'll definitely be trying this one out. If we go back, let's check out the next build. Will be a AoE. This can be two different weapons. You can either use the battle axe or a two-handed staff. I think both of these can do significant damage here. What's interesting is that if you go with the battle axe, you'll be doing archery, which doesn't make sense intuitively, but it does work, I tell you what. And then you'll be doing wizardry if you do the large staff, and then these together do work pretty well. And then you'll have spiritual just for a little bit of extra AoE and some cooldown. Let's go into game to discuss why these are why this works. But first, we need to change our classes, so we will be getting spiritual for. We're just swapping out all of them anyways. So we're going with archery, going for shadow, and there we go. So we have all of it. This is called a soul bow, which is cool. I like that name too. But on the spiritual, we're going with cyclone. You will be doing a heal just because this is the only healing skill you'll have, and then I go with force push in case you need to disengage. And if you got too greedy, if you were with the battle axe or something, you need some space, you need to get away. This can help you save yourself there. And then on the wizardry side, we'll go archery first. You're gonna go wind arrow, viper, precision shot. All of those are single target, but then we get some AoE from the rain of arrows. This will also slow them down, and then you can drop dragon's arrow, which is a nice AoE, burning them and dealing a whole bunch of damage and slowing them. So that's kind of the goal for this AoE. For your skills for this, you're going to be going with clear focus. You will need quite a bit of aether to make this work, and then I'd also suggest either fleet-footed if you need to get away, or you can also, if you're doing the ranged archery or the AoE for the wizardry, you can do clever adaptation. This can also increase, but probably only good if you're really good with a weapon power and you're doing archery, because archery will scale with weapon damage and wizardry will scale with spell damage. So it's going to be a mix between these. It could be good to have a mixed damage, but generally most of the time you want to focus one or the other and then go make sure you're getting the proper trait points for those. On the wizardry, you're going just straight down the line here. Fireball, erupt, Combustion's your first AoE here. It does, and it stuns them as well, so that's pretty good. Then we've got the Flame Tornado, which is a huge AoE. That one's a really, really cool one. And then you also got Meteor Strike with a little bit of channeling time. All of these together do significant amount of damage. And same thing, you kind of want to build up your crit with these two, Hot-Headed and Flow of Magic. You'll be able to get both of those, build that up, and then when you see Flow of Magic triggered, that's when you drop a meteor and hope that it hits and it crits, and then everything will vanish. So that's kind of goal there. Also, the passive for Spiritual, you're going to be going with Celerity. So getting that cooldown on all of these massive AoEs, because they take 45 seconds, 90 seconds, 45 seconds, 45 seconds. These are huge cooldowns. You're going to need that cooldown. So let's go on to the next build, which is the Mage damage over time. I find this one really entertaining, and I think it's pretty cheap for the skill points. This is definitely what I'll be using in game. I like playing Mage more than anything else, and I think this is just a fun one for sure. So let's go into game. So we will be getting rid of archery for Witchcraft, which is the main one that you need for this build. So Witchcraft, you're going to have a Curse, Leech, and then Eternal Worms. These will be, your main. That's 2 damage over time you're going to get from that, and then your passive will be increasing the damage over time skills by 20%. So that'll give you a good amount there. And actually, I forgot, we're also swapping out Shadow for Spiritual. Spiritual does not have any damage over time that we're looking at right now. Then in Spirit and Shadow, you're going to go with Quick Slash, Shadow Strike, which gives you that bleed. So that's 3 damage over times right there. And then you'll go for Shadow Bind just to snare them so that they can't get on you when you're just applying all these dots and you're just walking away, watching them burn, watching them get eaten by your leeches, getting cursed, just doing all that. And then you're also going to be adding Cheap Shot so that they get that, every time you deal damage, remember those damage over times are all stacking. You're potentially getting like 4 or 5 damages per second, and that's increasing potentially up to 50%, your crit chance. But realistically, you only have a 10% chance to get 10%. So Cheap Shot doesn't work that crazily, but either way, that's going to be scaling quite well there. And then on Wizardry, you got a couple of damage over times too. Fireball is one that gives you a bunch of burn stacks, and then you also have Erupt, which does deep burning. So there's 2 there, and then you can blow them up with Pyroblast just as your main damaging ability, just to finish them off. So that's kind of the damage over time build here. Oh, and then on the here we're going to be going with Flow of Stacks. If you can get that crit chance up high from here, then you'll be using this to blow them up with your extra critical damage with that Pyroblast. It's kind of the goal of the whole combo system, but mostly you're just letting them burn with all of these different stacks. And I've tested this one out. It's pretty fun, really good for single target damage. And yeah, so that's that one. Let's go back to the next build, which I think is the One Shot Wonder. This is my class. I identify as a shadow spell. This is what I'm going to be doing on launch. I'll probably swap out Shadow for Spiritual early on. I kind of like that ability, the first one, Cyclone or whatever. Just that AoE, it hits 3 units, and that's generally what you'll be fighting early on. And then once we have enough skill points, we can scale Shadow, we will. But looking into this back in game, for the Shadow, we're just going to be going with Quick Slash, Shadow Strike, and then we're going to be doing a Shadow Bind just to snare them, and then we're going to be trying to build up that Cheap Shot similar to what we did last time with Witchcraft. We have Curse and Leech. These should be stacking, building up our Cheap Shot, building up that critical strike chance, and then might need some mana, so that's why we got Siphon here. Then we're going to have Shackles of Pain in case they're on top of us. We can, send that damage right back to them, 25% of the damage that we're getting there. But really, we're just trying to get to Mirror Image, and then this is going to multiply or duplicate ourselves. So we have 4 of our caster, and we're going to have that then go into Wizardry. And Wizardry is where we're going to be doing most of the damage. So we have Fireball is one, but Pyroblast is really the one. And so you want these 4, so you can lock 2 of these. And then that gives you 2 passives, so we can get the Flow of Magic and the Hot-Headed. Once again, just like in the other crit builds, this builds our crit, this builds our crit, and then once we activate Flow of Mana, we activate Mirror Image, we activate Pyroblast, and we nuke them for like 600 to 800 damage, just like that. And that's only at level like 13. So it's going to be pretty crazy that how this scales up if you can get the crit. And it's like actually like over 1,000 easily. And so you can nuke someone like instantly with this build. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to build towards. I think it's going to be a super fun build. I know that I've been waiting for this game to come out now since September. I've been playing it in and out, and phase 3 I went really hard, and this was what I've determined is going to be my build. I'm super excited about it, but that's the last one I have. For anyone who's watching, we are building a guild at Polemos, the PLM guild. We're calling it a squad because Polemos doesn't want to be guild centric, where we're trying to be open to everything. But if you are interested in theory crafting, coming up with stuff, especially once we have Raven cards, we're going to do this again, and we're going to keep that video behind it just within our guild, so you guys can figure out, okay, what is the best with the Raven cards on top of that. And so there's going to be some really exciting things to discuss there. But if you want to get one of those Raven packs for the giveaway, we've got 20 to give away to 10 players. So if you come sign up in our Discord, or go to our Discord and get the Raven roll, we're going to give you 2 of those Raven packs. So make sure to do that. Comment below, and then also like and subscribe if you guys like this video. And if one of these builds looks exciting for you, which one was your favorite? But that's all I got today. Everyone, have a great day. Caveman logging off.